6:45. Now, earlier in the show, we heard about how the US elections are being regarded in Russia and China, but the other area which we'll be watching particularly closely is the Middle East. Washington was horrified recently by the banning of the United Nations relief organization UNRWA from Israel. Kamala Harris seems to be losing large numbers of Arab American voters as her administration gets precisely nowhere in the search for peace. So what's happened to the more progressive end of Israeli politics since the October the 7th massacre? I discussed all of this with Merav Mikali, the feminist Israeli MP and outgoing leader of the Israeli Labour Party, and I began by asking her about that UNRWA decision.
I will say two things. This legislation is not the wise way to deal with UNRWA, but at the same time, Israelis feel that UNRWA had workers of it participate in a massacre. UNRWA has never apologized for it. We have never seen a major change in the way it conducts itself. And if you zoom out a little bit and you realize that UNRWA is part of the problem and not part of the solution, UNRWA is an organization that is actually preventing the two-state solution.
Why do you say that? Because, for many friends of Israel in this period, the hardest thing of all is the apparent destruction of the two-state solution, the sense that Israel has no interest now, really, in a two-state solution, that because of what's happening on the West Bank, it's just not going to happen.
One of the reasons I am such an opposition, have always been an opposition to Netanyahu and to the right wing and to the settlers in Israel, is because I strongly believe in the two-state solution. This is why I insisted on Labour, the party of Yitzhak Rabin, the late Yitzhak Rabin, who paid with his life insisting on this path of building actually peace and a future both for Israelis and Palestinians. Having said that, Hamas is not interested in the two-state solution. Hamas does not recognize the state of Israel.
No,
it wants to destroy the state of Israel. Israel was not occupying Gaza ever since 2005. It is not. There's another border with Egypt. Nobody comes to Egypt in any complaints that it's oppressing Gaza, right? Hamas chose to oppress its people, to steal from them every resource it has had ever since, and is doing it now with the humanitarian aid that Israel is getting in on a daily basis. So Israel cannot be accused alone at destroying the two-state solution. It has a lot of responsibility. I'm the first one to take this responsibility and to fight for it within my country. But anyone who wants to actually reach this kind of solution needs to help us, the peace camp, and those on every side who wants to get there.
Well, you bring me to my next question, because what in your view has happened? Because there used to be a very strong peace voice, if I can put it that way, in Israel, a very strong peace movement. Indeed, I think some of the people who were massacred on October the 7th were effectively peaceniks.
The majority of them. And, the Labour Party, your party, had a very, very long, very proud tradition on the left of Israeli society. And yet something has happened in Israel in the last decade or so. The right 30 years.
30 years, you'd say. The right has made advance after advance after advance. And some more extreme religious parties we thought were on the fringes of Israeli politics now right at the centre. It's a big question. What is your assessment of why this has happened?
Well, this is at least a PhD to be written on the subject, and there's really a lot to explain. But it always takes two to tango. There's the polarization that we see everywhere in the world is also taking place both within Israel and also on the Palestinian side. So extremists take over everywhere, and unfortunately are taking over inside Israel and inside the Palestinian society and the Palestinians, among the Palestinians, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. And so
one side's extremists encourage the other side's extremists.
Yes, and so unfortunately we, the peace people and the people who believe in life and believe in security that stems really from political agreements and from joint interests, find it much more difficult to take the lead.
This is the Israel that much of the world is desperate to hear, is yearning to hear. Do you see any hope, whatever? You are the outgoing leader of the Labour Party. Do you see any hope for the Labour Party reviving its position in any time soon?
Well, first of all, the new leader has chosen to merge Labour with other political bodies, and it's now called the Democrats, and we'll see, hopefully. I mean, I wish it luck, obviously, and let's see how that goes. I think it's really too soon to tell where anything's going, because we are really in the midst of this war, which the majority of Israelis would really see end. We do want to see a ceasefire. We want the people in the north to be able to go back to their homes. We want the hostages back. I cannot tell you how painful and how present the whole hostages issue is in each and every one of us' souls and in our reality on a daily basis. And we want to be able to restore and to rehabilitate the South. But we also want to know that we are safe. We want to know that we are not exposed, not to penetrations, not to missiles, that we are being rocketed on an hourly basis. Still now, as we are talking, 7 people died today from rockets fired from Lebanon. It's not a theoretical discussion about security. It's an actual life and death issue. And the fact that we need to work towards the two-state solution does not exclude the fact that we need to take care of our security.
Is peace possible while Netanyahu remains Prime Minister?
Well, so far it has proven that not, but one can always hope that some miracle will happen. But what I do ask our friends and allies, especially the Labour government in the UK, and as chair of the Labour, I invested a lot in reconstructing the relationship between the sister parties, is to help pushing towards an agreement, not to work with the extremists, not to concentrate only in punishing the extremists, but work towards showing that there is prospect, that there is a possibility to work with partners also in the Arab world towards a political solution, towards a better future.
Merav, we're waiting for a miracle. Thank you very much indeed for talking to